So Heath, are you good to go, man?
I am. I'm good to go.
Okay, Mr. Engvall just joined us.
Wonderful.
Okay, someone pull him up, okay?
Wonderful. Let's do it.
Mr. Engvall,
Hey,
how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good is better than bad.
Hey, man, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, listen, this is going to be fun.
Yes, sir.
Good. So, look at there. Look at there.
Yes.
I like it.
Oh, wait. And even for Christmas last year.
Dude, that's phenomenal.
I'm still stinging from last year, but I think it's going to be different this year.
Yes, sir. I would agree with that. So real quick about the show, we are a show about storytelling. Our show is about having fun. Now, of course, we are on here in Tuscaloosa. However, we are an SEC show. So if you want to say anything about the Crimson Tide, go ahead and feel free to, because we're not an Alabama show per se.
Gotcha.
But everyone that listens is an Alabama fan.
Right.
Yeah. Go figure that.
Yes.
So, what would you like for us to call you? You want us to call you Bill, Mr. Engvall?
Bill is fine.
Okay. And this will actually be airing tonight, immediately following Hey Coach, down here with Saban. So
yeah, we follow Coach Saban. Our numbers are pretty big. Imagine that. Nick Saban brings ratings in Tuscaloosa. I know that's a shocker to everybody.
I know, right?
So, but have as much fun as you want to. Feel free to get long-winded. If you accidentally say something that we can't put on the radio, don't worry. It's pre-recorded. Yes. Steven can take it out later in post.
Yes.
And just have fun.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pull this down, and we're going to get going, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, Heath. We, at this point, we have already done the first segment, so it's just going to be me and you coming back from break and then bringing him right in, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, and once again, this segment and the rest of the segments are about 10 minutes, okay? Because we've already done the 15-minute one. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back inside the Stingray show right here on the radio. We hope that you guys are doing well on this Thursday evening. And guys, we have a very special and huge guest joining us right now on the Stingray show. Heath, this is going to be a blast.
Well, Steven, we've had plenty of big names on the show before. But I think this is our first comedian, so I'm actually real excited about this one.
Oh, man. So this is a Grammy-nominated, certified platinum comedian, an actor and TV host, famous for his catchphrase, "Here's your sign." Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only and always funny Bill Engvall. Bill, how are you doing, my friend? And thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. First off, a couple of things. I don't know how I can follow that introduction. It's way overblown. And just so your listeners know, the term Grammy nominated is just a nice way of saying you lost. So take that for what it is. But I'm thrilled to be on the show. And I got a little surprise for you. First off, note.
Yeah, I see it.
Yes, Texas.
You got your Longhorn jersey.
I got
with the Santa cap.
I got my Christmas hat on. And just for you two guys, I got something really special for you.
That's awesome, man.
The eyes of Texas are upon us.
Yes.
The eyes of Texas are on a lot of people. It is, listen, I've been a Longhorn fan since I've known what football was. I'm thrilled that they're in the SEC now because now they're going to have to really gird it up and play.
Yes.
And I am so looking forward to the Texas-Alabama game. We came close last year. But then, the wizard Saban pulled his magic out of his hat again. As
Did
much
you say
as I
the
want
wizard
to
or the referees? I get those confused at times.
we don't need to open that Pandora's box. Listen, as much as I want to dislike Coach Saban, he's a magic man. He can make things happen that you just go, there's no way. And I have the deepest respect for the man, and I just hope he's having an off night. Sometimes you get out of bed and the day's just not all in sync. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't want to wish any bad thing on him. Just not be as sharp as you were. I think it's going to be a great game.
Yes.
I think for me, the key to the game is the Longhorn line has to keep Ewers clean. If he gets hit like Rice, that first half against Rice, I was like, he's just getting hit too much.
Yes.
And as we all know, those good old Alabama linemen love to go hunting.
Yes.
So I'm just praying that the line does enough just to keep Ewers clean a little bit. Otherwise, it's just gonna. For me, I mean, I love the fact that Texas is having to play like big teams now.
Oh yeah.
The SEC is no joke. It's you got to play big boy football, and it's back when I played, as you can probably tell by my physique, that I'll tell you that I played football for, I believe it was 12 minutes, and it wasn't even a game. It was a practice, and the play was not even near. They had me at safety. Just because I was so small that I couldn't do anything else. They figured, well, at least he can run around. The play wasn't even close to me. And one of my best friends, well, he was one of my best friends, totally cold-cocked me just to impress the coaches. He was on my side of the ball, and he just hit me. And I realized at that point, as I was trying to suck air back into my little ninth grade lungs, that football was meant to me to be a visual sport and not a participant sport. Y'all, my helmet was so big, I could hold the guard and turn my head sideways inside the helmet. That's how lack of equipment we had.
Wow.
And I remember getting up off the turf, and I looked at the coach and I said, you know what? Y'all have fun.
I've got to ask, how did you become a Texas fan? Who was your first favorite Texas player?
Oh man, it goes so far back. I'm old enough to remember Darrell Royal. So it's for me though, Texas. I don't know. It's the uniform. It's the song. It's all about and we just have not. I was so sad when they let. Now I'm having a senior moment. He went to North Carolina.
Mac Brown.
When they let Mac Brown go, I thought this is the death of Texas football. But I really like Sarkisian. I think I really hope, and I think most college programs are like this. They want results right then. They want them yesterday, just like my golf game. I wish I could, tell me how to fix my golf game yesterday so I can play today. But I think Texas has got a shot here, but they're going to have to play mistake-free football. Alabama does not make a lot of mistakes, and it's going to be tough. I've already warned my wife there might be swearing in the house. I agree. Even with the dog, it's like I go into such a. It's like the Cowboys. I'm a Cowboy fan. It's like, and every year I have this hope. It's like when you're in junior high and you're going to the Valentine's Day dance and you want to ask this girl and you're just hoping and praying she's going to say yes, and then she says no. I'm going with your best friend, and the rest of the season's just shot. It's like it's. I don't know what it is about Texas football. It's just something. I guess maybe because I was raised on it. Greatest game I ever saw in my life was the Texas USC championship game, which was probably, I would say, I think you could argue it was probably one of the top two greatest games ever played. I mean, just back and forth, and Vince Young just playing out of his gourd. And that last run is, I thought it was a funny fact, and maybe you guys heard this. I don't know if your listeners know this. The game was at the Rose Bowl, which, by the way, is the daddy of them all, but it's also the worst stadium to try to get in and out of for a big event.
Yes.
They actually ran out of beer on the Texas side. So they had the fans were having to go to the USC side to buy beer. So, but yeah, I've warned all my family that probably, maybe go on a little trip, just let me alone in the house with me and my TV. I won't throw anything anymore. I'm old enough now that I realize that all that does is cost you a new TV.
Yes.
And the funniest thing was, when I'll tell you, this is how my daughter, who I love to death, it was USC Texas championship game. I'm losing my mind, screaming and yelling, and my daughter goes, "You didn't even go there." So it's like leave it to an 11-year-old to kind of bring you back to reality.
Right.
But yeah, this is going to be good. It's going to. I really hope it's a close game, and I think it's going to be. My prediction is Texas 27, Alabama 24.
Okay.
I think it's going to come down to a field goal. Texas got a fairly good, Dicker the kicker's gone, so that's kind of a bummer. But this other kid, I was watching the game against Rice, and and Texas got it going. And I know it was the first game of the season, but I tell you what, I guarantee you there was a little bit of looking past Rice at Alabama going on that first half, and I think maybe Sark set them down and said, "Hey, gang, we got to win this one. We got all week to worry about Alabama."
Yes.
So hopefully it's going to be good.
So, Bill, hold that thought because we are up against our first break. And when we come back, we are going to get into your comedy career a little bit. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. Heath, I'm just going to keep it recording instead of stopping it.
Bill, I had a joke and I missed it. We said that Texas ran out of beer on their side of the stadium. I was like, oh, heaven forbid if they ran out of Zima on the USC side. What would have happened?
Zima, good pull on that one. That was Bartles and James.
Oh, those were great commercials.
Oh, that was about all that was good about them was, I don't know. As far as these new drinks they got out now, White Claw and all these things, I'm sure they're good, but you know what? I'm just an old beer drinker.
Yes.
Just give me a cold beer. I don't need all the fancy fruit and all that in my drink. It just gets in the way, and it ends up laying on the table. And I'm sure the waitress goes, "You're supposed to eat that." And I go, "Well, I don't like oranges in my beer. I just want pop a top. Let's roll."
Well, Bill, if me and Steven ever catch you at a restaurant or a bar in the years to come, what beer should we send over? What's your favorite?
Oh, I kind of have gotten into these craft beers lately.
Okay.
I like a good IPA.
Okay.
But if I'm just at the ranch hanging out, I'm a Coors Light.
Oh, that's where I'm at, brother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Heath, I'm gonna bring us back, and we're gonna talk about his comedy. Okay.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Bill?
Yeah. You just tell me when I need to shut up because a comedian. I'll talk all morning long.
You're fine, man. Okay. All right. Here we go. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show with Stingray and Heath Hopkins. I am your host, Stephen Ray, and our guest this evening is a certified platinum comedian, actor, and TV host, famous for Here's Your Sign, Mr. Bill Engvall. And Bill, you have probably been on 100 of interviews over the years, whether it be radio, TV, or print. But I've got to ask you, what is the craziest question you've ever been asked by a reporter?
Probably, I always knew that the reporter hadn't done their homework. We came out with the song, me and Travis Tritt came out with the song, Here's Your Sign. Yes. And I could always tell when a reporter hadn't done their homework on what I did for a living when they would say, "So, do you and your band travel all around on the same bus?"
Wow.
And I go, "I'm not really a singer. I just tell jokes, and they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, we just thought, maybe you and Travis, yeah, me and Travis Tritt just hang out on a bus and tour the country. That's what we do."
That's insane.
Yeah, it's that it's. But I will say that, and I can kind of understand a little bit of the mistake. Back in the day when I was first, starting to come on, we were involved heavily in the country music industry. The CMT used to do. We could do videos with, with singers, and it was really fun. But I was thrilled that I grew up in the country music industry, so to speak, just because some of my greatest friends are, from the Tracy Bird, Trace Adkins, all these guys, and I just love the fact that I have a relationship with them, just because they really didn't know what to do with comedy. Foxworthy had obviously gone through the stratosphere, and then I came up, and then we did the blue collar thing, and they really didn't know where to put us. So we were kind of in that, and we were all, from the south, southeast, southwest areas. So, like I said, I grew up with country music, Patsy Cline and George Jones and all these great artists. And so it was really fun for me. And it was a good mix. My comedy, as you guys know, was solely based on family and the relationships there. And it continues today. I that those progressive ads where they tell you about people turned into their parents.
Right.
I am totally becoming my dad. And I actually, right before I came on with y'all, my wife had left to go play golf, and I'm walking through the house and go, my God, does every light in the house have to be on? It's the middle of the day. That's why God gave us the sun, so we don't have to run our lights all the time. And I have to follow my wife around the house, turning off lights that she leaves on. That or when the air conditioner's on, she'll leave the back door open. I'm like, I find myself thinking like my dad would say, are we trying to air condition the whole world here? Who's going to pay these? And I'm becoming my dad, which it's not a bad thing, but it also is a little bit frightening.
Yes.
Bill, I got a fun question for you.
Okay.
When was it that it was a wow moment for you? You said you grew up listening to Patsy Cline and George Jones, but when was it a wow moment for you where you got to meet a celebrity and they knew who you were and you guys got to hang out and you're like, wow, I'm hanging out with who was it?
George Strait.
Okay.
It was, I'll never forget it. I was presenting an award. It was like at the ACMs or CMAs or whatever, the ABCs. I don't know I don't know why they have to have just have the country music awards. We need one show.
Right.
But I was presenting an award and I was backstage, and one of the stagehands came up to me and said, hey man, George Strait wants to meet you. And I went, shut up. He goes, no, he's right around the curtain. He goes, he's coming this way. And I'm like, whatever, dude. George walks around the curtain, and there he is in his starched jeans and his shirt and his hat. And he goes,
right.
Hey, Bill, I just want to tell you, I think you're really funny, man. And I hope maybe we can work together one day.
Wow.
I was so fanboy that all I could think was, oh my God, you're George Strait. And then I did the dumbest thing in the world. I said, are you going to be in Amarillo by morning?
Wow.
I'm sure George walked away going, moron.
Oh, that's great. Great.
That was the one that I really kind of went, oh man, you really blew that one.
So,
now, do you ever make it back to Texas games? And because I know they have a lot of celebrities that show up at Texas games time to time. Who do you hang out with at Texas games?
I don't really hang out. I have not been invited, to be Matthew McConaughey's shadow. But they are starting to get a little more of that. Matthew went there. He's a good dude, and God knows if I was given the opportunity, I'd be on the field every time I could get there. Mm-hmm. But I went to school about 20 miles from Texas, at a little school called Southwestern University. Mm-hmm. Our Southwestern claim to fame was that we beat Texas. And this was back in 1914, I think, when the only reason we beat them was because the war was on and they didn't have any really good players, and we somehow beat them. So I have a T-shirt I have somewhere in the house that says Texas football undefeated since 1914. But we never played. We never played them.
Right.
And they dropped football then, but they've got it back now. But Texas was the school that I went to, and I never really got to experience like what I call true tailgating. I mean, where people show up like 3 days in advance, and
Right.
they're cooking and all that. But when I go home to Texas and go to a game, I definitely I spend most of my time in the tailgate area.
So I do want to go back because you talked about a lot of your comedy stuff is from your family. I want to talk about one story in particular that was on Just Sell Him for Parts, and it was the one where you pranked your father about the Meals on Wheels. Is that a true story? And if so, please tell us how that all came about.
Yes, it was a true story. And I'll try to shorten it up a little bit. My dad and I were always playing jokes. In fact, we would, Texas games, we would call each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when my grandparents were alive, as they got older, they kind of got a little senile. And my grandmother was the worst of it. I loved her to death, but she, because they kind of got homebound and couldn't get out much, Dad put them on Meals on Wheels, which is a great organization.
Mm-hmm.
And one day their Meals on Wheels lunches was late. And my grandmother got so mad, she called 911 to complain. And I would have loved to have been on that phone call where they go, 911, what's your emergency? And my grandmother going, well, we're about to damn starve to death. Where's them damn sandwiches at? And my dad told me this story. So years later, after my grandparents passed away, my wife and I were living in LA. And I got up one morning just in a little bit of a feisty mood. And I'm going to call my dad. And I told my wife what I was going to do. She goes, he's going to hate this. I said, that's why I'm going to do it. And so I called my dad and I said, hey, listen, I'm so-and-so, I'm Sergeant Johnson from the Georgetown Police Department. I said, listen, we got a little bit of an issue. We're clearing out our books for the end of the year. And we noticed that your mother called 911 about their Meals on Wheels lunches being late. And my father, without missing a beat, goes, officer, that woman was crazy. And, I'm thinking, this is his mother he's talking about. And so I said, well, listen, that's not really our department. I said, listen, we just get this fine settled and you go on with your weekend. And so he said, well, what's the fine for? And I said, well, we sent a fire truck and ambulance out there. We thought something was really wrong. And he goes, oh, of course. He goes, yeah. He said, listen, how much is the fine? And I said, well, that depends. And he said, on what? And I said, do you remember what they had for lunch that day? And he said, what? And I said, well, whatever they had for lunch that day will determine how big or little the fine is. Like if they just had a bowl of soup, that's only like $5. But if they had like a meatloaf sandwich, I said, you ever done this, sir? I said, your wife cooks your meatloaf on a Monday, and then Tuesday you cut you a cold slab of that meatloaf with mustard, mayonnaise, lettuce, pickles. And my dad goes, woo, I love them sandwiches. And I'm shortening this, but this went on. I had him on the hook for like 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Just he'd say, well, I don't really remember what they had for lunch. I go, well, just think really hard. I go, did they have a salad? Because that's only like $10.
Right.
But I said, but if they had like a turkey sandwich, like after Thanksgiving when you make that turkey sandwich with dressing and cranberry sauce, he goes, yeah, that's another good sandwich right there. Why would you tell this to a cop? And finally, I was laughing so hard, my wife was about to pee her pants because I got this all on speakerphone.
Right.
And I finally, he said, let me just do this. He said, why don't I just pay the larger the fines and that'll cover everything? And I said, sir, I wish we had more folks like you in the world. I said, but you can see how that screw up our books, right? And he goes, oh, yeah, I guess it would at that. It's like, I was just making this up as I went along. And I finally went, Dad, it's me. And he went, go to hell, and slammed the phone.
That's great. That's absolutely
that
great.
was that time. And then the time on April Fool's Day when I went to the courthouse, because I was dating this girl in college that my mother was not real thrilled about. And so I went to the courthouse and I got a marriage license and I had it filled out.
Oh, no.
And on Mother's Day, I sat my mother down. I said, listen, we need to talk. And she goes, about what? And I handed her this thing. She goes, oh, God, Bill, is she pregnant? That's a Southern mother's question to every problem. Are they pregnant?
Oh, that's great. That's
But
great.
yeah, I just said, you know what, I got to be honest. I love, I've retired now from the road just because I did it for 42 years, and but I loved it. I loved every minute of making people laugh, and there was trust me, there was plenty of shows. I wish I had a band. I could have gone, boys, this was just for us. But it was just such a fun career, and I loved every second of it.
Bill, I've heard comedians talk. I heard Adam Sandler talk and David Spade talk. They would all hang out together, and they would talk about who the funniest guy was. And they mentioned Chris Farley, and that was something I wanted to ask you. Who's the funniest person? When all you comedians hang out, who's the funniest guy in the room that just keeps everybody in stitches?
I'll say this: of the blue collar guys,
okay,
the Ron White, when he's on his A game, is probably one of the greatest storytellers out there.
Okay.
He's the one. I always said he's the only one I would pay money to watch. As far as other comedians, there's a kid out there. He's not a kid. He's 43. His name's Nate Bargatze. He's in my mind probably one of the funniest guys out there right now. But I'm such an easy mark. I just love good comedy. I love when you can tell when someone's really put the effort in. Mm-hmm. And there's so many good guys. Chris Rock always made me laugh. Kevin Hart makes me laugh. And as far as Farley goes, probably one of the greatest comedic actors ever. I never got a chance just to sit and yak with him, but another was Gary Shandling, who was sad that when we lost him. He was great. And listen, I got to be honest with you, Foxworthy makes me laugh. I think Jeff's got just one of the greatest deliveries, and it was. He was one of those guys that you watch and you go, and I give him the greatest compliment a comedian can give him, and that is you watch him and you go, oh, I wish I'd have thought of that. He really learned. I learned a lot from him, and it's and I'll always be grateful to him for that.
Wow.
So guys, hold that thought because we're up against our last break, and when we come back, we are going to finish up the interview with comedian Bill Engvall. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. Man, this is fantastic. Thank you.
That was a great George Strait story.
That's the truth. It was the truth. It was him and because they always say don't ever meet your idols,
right? Because
it's going to be disappointing. He wasn't just hang on a sec. I may have the picture. Because I swear these senior moments are happening more and more. I just did Clint Black's show, and I was the second show, and the first show was this girl. Right. Let me see if I can. You see her?
Yes.
You know who that is?
I can't make it out.
That is Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And she was doing, in fact, the proof that Bill and Jennifer,
that's awesome.
She said, oh, yeah. She goes, I'm a big fan. And I said, look, I don't care if you're even lying about that. I am going to take that to my grave.
That's funny. Did you ever come? I might should save this question for.
I swear, I think that's Jennifer Lopez, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be. Damn it.
Nope, it's Debbie Gibson. Sorry.
No, it's not Debbie Gibson. I know her. Yeah, I think it's Jennifer Lopez. She's a singer, right? Singer, dancer.
Well, dancer, singer, actor. Yeah, she does it all.
Okay, maybe. Well, anyway, we won't have that on there just in case somebody goes, "That's not Jennifer Lopez." I'm gonna look like a real idiot.
we won't let that one out. Maybe I should save this one for the show.
Hey, wait! Before you do it, I got a joke for you, real quick.
Hit me.
You can't put it on the show, but
okay, no problem.
One day, a man says to his wife, "Honey, how come you never have an orgasm?" And she said, "Because I didn't want to bother you at work."
Wow.
I love it. That joke makes me laugh so hard.
Of course, I won't say this one, and I'm sure you've heard it. what does Bill Clinton tell Hillary after sex?
What?
I'll be home in a little bit.
Jeez.
Oh,
All
man.
right. Heath, do you want to bring us back since this is the last segment?
Absolutely.
Okay. Just do a countdown and then bring us back.
Still a quick drink. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Welcome back, SEC fans. We got a special show for you here on the Stingray Show, featuring Stingray and myself, Heath Hopkins, the one and only Bill Engvall joining us. And Bill, I got a fun question.
Sure.
With all the things that you've done in this world, what were some of the cool things that you've done that you were like, man, I can't believe I'm getting to do this right now?
Oh boy, there's a list of them. My wife and I just got back from Fiji, where we swam with humpback whales, which was pretty amazing.
Okay.
I mean, I had whales 3 feet from me, and I tell you the other thing, and this is something that just happened recently in my life. During COVID, I went back to college and got my degree in Christian religion, and
Okay. Awesome.
and am ordained minister, and I've been able to baptize kids and marry people and stuff, and that's just such a great cherry on top of this cake. Stuff like I got to, that's wonderful. I flew with the Thunderbirds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which was incredible. Proud to say I didn't puke or pass out. But that was amazing. And just, I think probably just the fact that I have been so blessed, and I know that that term has kind of become cliche, which is kind of sad, but I am just so blessed every morning I get up that the stuff that I've got to do and the stuff that I've got, hosting an award show, having my own TV show. That was, that's the holy grail for a comedian. And I'll never forget the day that we were shooting the pilot, and I walked outside, and there on those big stage doors, it said the Bill Engvall Show, which was, and I just kind of got a tear in my eye, because it was like, I've been able to achieve everything I wanted in this business. I have no regrets about anything. And a funny little trivia fact, the Bill Engvall Show, we gave Jennifer Lawrence her first job.
Wow.
Yeah, she played my daughter on the show. And I will tell you this, within about 2 or 3 episodes, I went to the producers and I said, we're going to be writing a show where she goes off to college, because you just knew she was going to be huge. Right. And she's just a sweetheart of a lady. And I loved every minute of getting to work with her. And bless her little heart, when when she was breaking with all those movies, when she'd do interviews, she mentioned my name. So I always owe her for that one. I think I'm still paying checks on that one.
That's great. When's the last time you talked to her?
It's been a while now.
Okay.
But I will tell you a funny story that when we were shooting the show, my son, we were living in LA, and my son loved to surf. And, he and Jennifer were right around the same age. And one morning, we had taped the show on a Friday night, and the Saturday morning, I'm in bed, and I'm laying there just kind of in that nether sleep, and I heard Jenny's voice, and I go, "Why is Jennifer Lawrence in our house?" And she was borrowing my son's surfboard to go surfing, and
just a normal Saturday.
Yeah, just a normal Saturday in the Engvall house. But yeah, it's been so much fun to be able to experience stuff, and just to meet people, and But I'll tell you this: all the celebrities aside, one of my favorites, and still to this day, my favorite thing is when you hear from the fans and they say that you've made a difference in their life, or they were having a bad day and they came and saw your show and it just made it better. And that's something you can't buy. Right. And that's what I try to tell young comedians is, if you go on stage, and I don't care if there's 5 people or 5,000 people, you got to give that same show, because you don't know that somebody's out there that really needs it at this point. And I think, right now, I think it's even more important, the way the society is changing, and people need comedy. They need to laugh. They need to be able to release. And I hope that this whole kind of thing we're on right now. I hope the pendulum starts swinging back a little bit, because we're getting to the point that even other people on other planets probably going, yeah, don't go to Earth. They're crazy.
So obviously, Bill, you are a funny guy. However, in 2016, you starred in a crime horror thriller film called The Neighbor.
Yeah.
He's been dying to ask this question.
How difficult was it to play more of a serious role, being from a comedy background?
Well, for those listeners who may not have seen it, go get. You can see it on online. I played a guy who kidnaps and murders people, and the scary thing was, Stingray, how easily I slipped into that role. And as a matter of fact, there was I'll tell you a quick story. There was a scene where we had the female lead tied to a chair. It was me and my 3 sons, and one of the lines that one of the actors delivered, he said, "Daddy, don't forget you said I get this one." And my line was, "Okay, but don't mess her up, because I want my turn." And then I put my hand on the girl's leg and I slid it up her leg and I whispered in her ear, I said, "I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you, Princess?" And I used to call my wife Princess, but after she saw the movie, she said, "Don't you ever call me Princess again." But it was really fun. It was really fun. What was amazing to me, though, was I got some pushback from fans. They go, "Why would you do this? Why would you be that guy?" And I would write back and go, "It's not a life choice. It's just an acting role. All right. It's not. I'm still Bill." But I've always, Heath, I've always loved to do that too. I always like to push my fans a little bit, because I don't want to be just the one joke pony.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. I hope with all my heart that there's some other. I did some indie films where I played a bad guy. Played one guy who was an abusive father, and it was really it's fun, because it's also fun for me because it breaks the monotony of just joke. You're the funny guy. In fact, it was funny when Marcus Dunstan, the director of the movie, called me about the role in The Neighbor. He's going through this. Now, this is a guy who wrote Saw 3, all right? And he's telling me about this character, and I go, "Okay, dude, wait a minute." I go, "You know that I'm like the goofy dad that, doesn't understand why the iron's still hot after you unplug it, He goes, "Yep." He goes, "That's the guy I want. When you walk on screen, I want people to go, 'Oh, thank God, here's some humor.' And then you surprise them by kidnapping a kid and shooting him." It's like, so it was really fun. We were shot it in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh,
and
wow.
we were staying in this one of these business hotels, that the traveling salesman guys. And we shot all our scenes at night, which is funny because I asked Marcus one night, I said, there's not a scene where we murder somebody in the day? Yeah, because we were leaving 11 o'clock at night and coming back at 7 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And so we come dragging in at 7 in the morning, with fake blood on our face and mud in our hair and stuff. And all these poor business guys are like, "What the hell is happening here? What is going on?" But yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for bringing that up, because that was one of my big things I really enjoyed. I did that one in a short film called Cowboy Dreams, that's my other the only other thing I really want to accomplish is I like to do a full length Western, like a 1893 or whatever.
Yeah.
I keep writing Sheridan, telling him I'm good, but he hadn't answered.
So, Bill, a quick follow-up to that. You always say that you like to push your boundaries with your fans. In 2013, you were a contestant on the 17th season of Dancing with the Stars.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
Would you please walk us through that entire experience?
Yeah. So we got the call that my publicist called me and said, "Dancing with the Stars is going to contact you." And I honestly thought they wanted me to be like a guest judge. All right. There was no reason and when they called, I said, "I'd be happy to judge that." And they go, "Well, actually, we want you to be a contestant, a dancer on the show." And I remember I said, "Well, let me think about it." And I hung up the phone, and I thought, and my honest first thought was, "Oh my God, is this where my career's at now?" And but my wife, bless her heart, said, "I think you ought to do this." And so I started doing it. Now, the only dancing I'd ever done up until that point was a little, country two-stepping. I mean, if they let me do that, I'd have won the damn thing. But apparently, they don't consider that ballroom. So I started this. I started this process, and I really, honestly thought I'll be on this show a week, maybe two at the most, because the first week you got to buy. Everybody was safe.
Right.
So I thought, well, if I can go 2 weeks, that's all I need, because deer season starts in 3 weeks. This was my mind. This was my mind thought. I go, I'll get kicked off the show. I'll go hunting. I'll sit around the campfire with my buddies and joke about how I was on this stupid dance show.
And show your picture of Jennifer Lopez. That's probably how you got on the show. They saw the picture of you and Jennifer Lopez.
That's it. Yeah. So we started this, and next thing I know, it's 13 weeks into this show, and I'm still on it. In fact, if you ever get a chance, go back and Google some of the dances. Don't watch the dance part. But go to the end of the dance when they're giving us our scores. And whenever me and Emma got moved forward, the judges all had this look on their face like, how is he still here? By the time I got eliminated in the finals, I added up my dance time, and I had realized I had danced 7 days a week, or 6 days a week, 7 hours a day for 13 weeks. Now, I was 57 when I did that show. Wow. And let me tell you something. 57-year-old men are not designed to dance 7 days a week, 6 hours a day for 13 weeks. We're designed to dance once a year drunk at a wedding. And and we pay for that for 3 months.
Right.
So, but you know what was funny was that show. When I would go, I still had to go out on the road. I was still doing road gigs, and they would, when I would get introduced, they go, "Ladies and gentlemen, please, from Blue Collar Comedy Tour." There'd be a nice little applause, and they go, "Dancing with the Stars," and the place would erupt. I mean, I got seen by 13 million people a week for 13 weeks. Wow. That was, and once again, my wife was right. It's one of the best things I ever did. Somebody asked me one time, they said, "Would you do it again?" And I thought for about 2 seconds and went, no. Right. Because it's brutal. It is brutal. I mean, wow. I tore my groin, pulled my hamstring, and had to have my knee drained 3 times.
Jeez.
Yeah. But the reason, and let me tell you something, the reason I got as far as I did was not my dancing ability. What I finally realized is this was not a dance competition. Because if it was, we would have been asked to be on it.
Right.
It was a popularity show, and I did what I do. I played to the crowd. I was dancing with this smoking hot 25-year-old British girl, and at the end of the dance, I'd run across the floor and kiss this 55-year-old woman, my wife, and every woman in America went, see, that's a nice guy right there. And I just did what I know how to do, and it was a blast. There was rumors that they were going to call me for the Masked Singer, but I think I squashed those things because kind of going back to the "Here's Your Sign" song. I did a video called "I'm a Cowboy," which was one of my favorite videos that I ever did. And the singer's name was Buddy Jewell, but we kind of sounded alike. And so everybody thought I sang the song, but I didn't. We tried to do that. But when you're singing in the shower along with the radio, everybody sounds great.
Right.
But when you pull that professional out, y'all, we recorded this song called "Cheap Drunk." And I went in to sing this song, and it was so bad that it wasn't even funny. Like nobody would go, "Oh, that's Bill trying to be a singer." They go, "My God, was there nobody that said, no, don't put this on the album?" And they even tried, that little box where they can make it a little sharper, a little flatter or whatever. Even that box couldn't make it good. It was awful. And I'm so thrilled we trashed that idea.
All right, Bill, I heard that you're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yes.
And I read Boys Will Be Boys, phenomenal book, way over the top. I'm surprised the Cowboys ever won a game, much less a couple of Super Bowls, and had that dynasty, 3 Super Bowls. But Troy Aikman released an album, and I couldn't believe this. I was reading this book, and there's a song called "Oklahoma Nights," and I could swear to you, I'd rather listen to cats being tortured to listen to that song again. Have you ever heard Troy Aikman's version of Oklahoma Nights? It's got to be better than that, right?
Actually, I'm happy to say, and I love Troy. We've met several times. I have not heard the song, and let's just say this: it's not on my, it's not in my Apple Music.
There you go. For the ones listening, don't run off the road getting to YouTube and trying to find it. It's on YouTube. It's absolutely horrific. Bill, it's your song on YouTube.
What one's that?
The Cheap Drunk song.
Oh, it's not on. The song's not on there, is it?
Okay.
No. No paper trail. No paper trail.
Well, let's spend something fun. What's the craziest thing a fan has ever asked you or said to you?
I actually had a guy at a funeral want to take a selfie with me.
Okay.
And it was his grandmother's funeral. We went because we were
wow.
friends of the family. And there's the casket in the background. And he goes, "Can I get a selfie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." There was one. I was on tour with Tracy Bird one time, and we were in Dodge City, Kansas. And after the show, we went to this little country bar to get a beer. And Tracy and I and Tracy's manager are standing at the bar. And this little girl, a young lady, she was old enough to be in the bar, but comes up and she goes, "Would y'all sign my panties?" And I was like, "I guess." I mean, so she kind of undid her jeans a little bit where we could see her little drawers, and we signed it and turned back to the bar. And then she turned to us and she goes, "Could y'all get the hell out of the way? I'm trying to get a beer." And my Tracy's manager goes, "They just signed your damn underwear, lady. Move on."
Oh, man.
Wow.
Now I've got to ask, how many pair of panties have you signed, Bill?
It probably better not said.
Right.
But like you get crazy stuff. Like people go, "Would you sign my girlfriend's boobs?" It's like, do you really want to be staring at my signature all night long?
Right.
It's like, but I think sometimes they just don't know what to do. And, I politely move them. They'll say, "No, I'm not going to sign her boobs." That's but yeah, you get people doing. One of my favorite things was when Here's Your Sign first came out. I was walking through the Nashville airport, and it was I had one of those, oh God, 30 flights, just like 6 a.m. and I'm just dragging, and I'm just kind of walking by myself, because that's a comedian's life. And out of nowhere, this guy runs up to me and right in my face goes, "Here's your sign." And I said, "That's not even a joke." He goes, "I know, but you'll figure it out." And then just ran off. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Wow. How did that whole Here's Your Sign thing come about?
The bit used to say, "I thought stupid people should be slapped."
Okay.
And which I still believe. But one day my wife said, "You don't look like the kind of guy that walks around slapping people." So I was working at a comedy club in Omaha, Nebraska, the Funny Bone Comedy Club. I'll never forget it. And, you were there for 6 days, so you had time to work on material and stuff.
Right.
And so I came up with this idea of a sign that just said, "I'm stupid." And I sold them at the end of the show for $1 a piece or 2 for $5.
Wow.
And you'd be amazed how many people went, 2 for $5. That's not too bad. We got to get in on that deal. And so I would sell these little stupid paper signs with a string attached to them for $1 a piece. And at the end of the week, I'd get $200 or $300 in ones. And my wife would go to the bank and deposit the money. And one day she came back and she said, "You got to stop selling the signs." And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Everybody at the bank thinks I'm a stripper."
Wow.
So,
Oh, that's funny.
So, Bill, I do want to go off of that just for a second. What is your favorite Here's Your Sign joke to tell, and why?
oh, wow. Good question. I think probably if I had to guess, the one that I did about when my son and I went fishing. We had rented this little boat on the lake, and we got about 7 or 8 bass. And we pulled the boat back in the dock, and the old man running the dock said, I lift up this stringer of fish, and he goes, "Y'all catch all them fish?" I said, "No, we talked them into giving up."
That's great.
Yeah. But what I love is when people, you would think by now people would know, like, but I had one before I retired that I did a show in Billings, Montana, and I finished the show and went back to the hotel, and I had to get up early to do radio the next morning. And I got back to the show, back to the hotel, and I walked up to the little girl at the front desk, and I said, could I get a 7 a.m. wake-up call? And she goes, you want me to call your room? And I'm looking at her, and she knows who I am. And I said, no, just call the next door neighbors. They'll bang on the wall. That'll get me up.
Oh, now does your wife ever pull the "here's your sign" on you?
No, I got to be honest. I think she's so sick of hearing it that, but because I do dumb stuff all the time. I think it's just kind of part of her life. But I will tell you this, that, but if somebody asked me one time, they said, does your wife think you're funny? And I went, without a doubt, no. I'm just not her type. I'm just not her type of humor. But because she's very dry. She likes dry humor. And so it's kind of good but I will say that every once in a while she would say, hey, you got to do a bit about whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I go, yeah, whatever. Let me just handle this. And then I'd go on stage and try it, and it would just kill. So, but I never did go back to her and say, hey, great idea on that joke. It's like...
So before we get out of here, Bill, would you please give us a couple of thoughts for a few games this upcoming weekend? The first one is going to be the Aggies of Texas A&M at Miami. What are your thoughts on that game?
Ooh, I think it's Jimbo Fisher, right? He's the coach.
Yes,
right.
Correct.
Yeah, I think
right now.
Yeah, for right now. I think he's got the Aggies turned in the right direction. I'm going to go on that one. I'm going to say I think the Aggies pull that one out. As good as Miami is, I think the Aggies will pull that one out in another close one.
Okay.
Utah at Baylor. And Baylor, of course, lost to Texas State last weekend.
I'm going to tell you something. The Utes are for real. I think the Utes run away with that one.
Okay.
All right. The next one is going to be Oregon at Texas Tech. And, of course, Texas Tech lost in double overtime last weekend at Wyoming.
Yeah. Listen, I love the great folks of Wyoming, but that was, I think that one's going to be hard to overcome. I think that I think it's going to be a blowout.
Okay. And the last one is Texas State at Texas San Antonio.
Oh, man. Now you're digging. Wow. You know what? I'm going to go Texas San Antonio. I think that's one of those games I think they can jump up and surprise them.
Okay. And my final question for you is simply this. What is next for Bill Engvall?
You know what, Stingray? My honest answer is I don't know. Right now, I'm just enjoying retirement, and I've got grandkids. I'm going to see them awesome. Tomorrow. If something comes up, I'll take a good look at it. But I got to be honest, I'm kind of digging just playing golf and hanging out.
Right.
Hey, true or false? My old Sunday school teacher, Bill Smith, told me this as a kid. I thought it was hilarious. What your kids do is stupid. What your grandkids do is funny.
True. True. I remember one time, and I remember one time, this it shows you about your kids. One day, my son and I were talking, we were playing golf, and we were talking about, him growing up, and we were laughing about stories and stuff. And I said, all I hope for by the time the good Lord calls my name is that you look at me and go, Dad, you weren't that dumb. And he looked at me and said, yeah, that probably is not going to happen.
Well, my last question for you, I always try to ask a question that leads to a great story. What's one gig you turned down that you wish that you didn't?
Ooh, man.
You could have multiple.
One gig that I didn't do.
Was it a TV show? Was it a commercial? Was it a movie spot? Was it being invited to the White House? Whatever it might be.
No, I'll try. I really don't have one, only because Jeff used to joke about that. I would go to anything. I would show up at anything, anywhere, because I never got to do this stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I rarely turned down a gig at all. But I guess if I thought I'm going to turn something, I know it's on the tip of my tongue. There was a TV show that was being cast, and they wanted me to be the father figure on it, and I turned it down. And I can't remember the show, but it went on for like 4 seasons,
Wow.
and it was one of those ones I go, oh, there's another great Bill Engvall move. But yeah, I did, now I had, there was, somebody asked me a question one time, they said, what's the scariest you've been on stage? And I have, the answer to that is I got to perform at Gator Growl, which for those you don't know, it's Florida's big pep rally, and there's 80,000 people in the stadium. The students, the alumni and all that are on one side, and the students are the other. And like there's famous stories like them making Paula Poundstone cry because halfway through her show they started singing that na 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 hey goodbye, and they wouldn't stop. And I remember being so scared, because right in front of you was a field. And it was at night. You couldn't be on the field. And there was acts, like the cheerleaders did a thing and the band did a thing. And, I had this little, middle of the road act about being a parent and all this. And I just thought, I'm going to get killed. And actually the show it was 15 minutes of the scariest I've ever been in my life. But it went off great. But the addendum to this story is, after the show, we're backstage, and these little sorority girls, were, probably 30 years younger than I was at the time, said, hey, we're having a party at the house. Why don't you come by? And this little devil appeared on my shoulder and said, dude, we've waited our whole lives for this. And then on this shoulder, an angel popped up and said, yeah, let's go. Because you know what? As soon as you walk through the front door of that sorority house, some girl's going to go, hey, whose dad's here?
That's great. Oh, man. Well, Bill, before we head out, I heard you're a Cowboys fan. How's Dak and the Cowboys going to do?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Here we go again. Another hopeful season. I think the Cowboys have the ability to go. I think they have the ability to win the NFC East.
Okay.
My fear about Dak is my fear that was with Tony Romo. Great stats, season stats, but can't do it at the end of the year.
Right.
I just hope that God, it would be great, because I sure miss the days of Troy and Emmett and those guys. Michael, that was so much fun being a Cowboy fan. Because the thing with Cowboy fans is either you love us or you hate us, and most of the time you hate us because we are obnoxious. And but it's I'm going to say Cowboys are going to go. There's 18 games now. 12-6. I think they'll win the NFC East, and hopefully we can just get by the first round of the playoffs. That'd be nice.
Right.
Okay.
But I'll be there. You know what? My wife laughs so hard at me because I turn on a Cowboy game and literally this is me. Oh, shut it off. And I walk outside and I come back 3 seconds later and turn it back on because something might happen.
Well, if the Cowboys make the postseason, will you come back and join us?
Without a doubt.
Thank you.
We'll book it.
You know what? We don't have to wait on the Cowboys. Anytime you want, give me a call.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Hey,
as you can tell, I'm a little shy and reserved, but for you two, I do it.
I appreciate that. Hey, Bill, I just want to say before we head out, my father's turning 80 here in October. You're his absolutely favorite. He never listens to this show. And I told him this morning, I saw him this morning. And he's like, well, what'd you in a hurry? I was like, I got to get back. I got a big show today. And he's like, oh, you talking to a coach or somebody? I said, I'm talking to Bill Engvall. He looked at me kind of funny. He goes, why do I know that name? If my father says it every day, 20 times a day, here's your sign. And I was like, Dad, here's your sign. He goes, you talking to Bill? And I was like, yeah, I'm talking to Bill. He goes, well, I'm going to listen. So for the first time ever, my father will listen to this show just because of you.
What's your daddy's name?
Ronnie Hopkins.
Well, Ronnie, here's your sign.
That's awesome.
Happy birthday, Dad.
That's awesome. So, Bill, thank you for this awesome interview. And if you would, please go on ahead and tell everybody again here your prediction of the Alabama-Texas game here in Tuscaloosa Saturday night.
Alabama, you know I love you fans out there, but I got to go. It's going to be a barn burner. I think it's going to be Texas 27, Alabama 24.
You heard it here first.
So we will definitely catch up with you again during the season, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a good chance you could be talking to me and saying, well, you were way wrong. It was 35-0 Alabama. So.
But, hey, man, this has been a blast. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been fun for me too, guys.
Thank you, Bill. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, dude, that's going to wrap up this awesome interview here with Bill Engvall. And, guys, I do want to tell you right now that, unfortunately, we cannot put all of this on the radio because of the time constraints, because we only have an hour, but we are going to put the entire show on the podcast, and I will share that everywhere on social media so that you guys can hear the entire 1 hour interview by itself with Bill Engvall.
And also, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, this is the best time to do it. The best part of our show usually gets taken off and is on the podcast. Usually it might be a off-color joke or maybe a 4-letter word that slipped in there by our guest or whatever it might be of them telling a story or a joke. Always listen to the podcast. It is tons better than the show.
And the just so you guys will know which one it will be titled The Stingray Show with Stingray and Heath Hopkins, the Bill Engvall Special. That's what it's going to be named.
Check it out on Spotify or Apple, and you can hear it anytime you want.
So, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of the Stingray Show. We hope that you guys have thoroughly enjoyed it with Bill Engvall. I do have to say one more thing. If you guys are listening to us in Tuscaloosa on Tide 100.9, we will be back on Monday evening. However, if you are listening on 92.7 The Score in Hattiesburg, we will have the Southern Miss Show for you guys tomorrow evening. And Heath, let's go on ahead and do it together, my friend.
We are out.
See you guys tomorrow night in Hattiesburg and on Monday evening up here in Tuscaloosa. Have a great one, and we thoroughly enjoyed bringing you the Bill Engvall Special.
That was cool with him and J-Lo.
That was awesome, dude.
And George Strait.